Yeah, we are totally live. That was a really abrupt cut. I realized I didn't have it editing smoothly. It's just like, we're here. What's up, everybody? One, I'm hoping that you can hear us. I'm hoping you can see us. But we are, a lot has happened in the last couple of weeks, but we're back after, oh, sorry, my audio just started playing. But we had a lot happen in the last 2 weeks, including relocating. We changed states. We haven't done a Gingerrun Live in a couple of Mondays, purely because we had no internet and all that sort of good stuff. We're going to cover a lot in tonight's show because our guest tonight, oh boy, there could not have been a better guest at a better time in history than Jim Walmsley, the week of Western States 2017. So sit back, relax, grab your adult or beverage of choice. We have a big show tonight with an incredibly special guest. This will be a lot of fun. Here we go. Gingerrun Live, episode number 168 begins now. Gingerrunner. Yay! What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy Monday to spend it with us. We have a big, packed show tonight. Our guest is a legend in the sport in a pretty short amount of time, too. Like, he's managed to make a name for himself and then some in the sport of ultra running. We are joined by Jim Walmsley tonight. Before we get to Jim Walmsley, I just want to let you know we are in Seattle. We relocated. We have a temporary set that's leaning against our wall, so everything's changing.
Commenting on the tape and
it marks where frames were and all sorts of stuff. We thought we'd show you a little bit of the raw process as we get the new set built out. The new studio is being built out, but at this point, it's, if I turn the camera around, it's boxes, a homebrew beer making kit, and that's basically it. And Gus, and our dog Gus. So the process will be over the next couple of weeks. Will be evolving. It'll be really fun. It'll be great. So be patient with us in the meantime. But as I mentioned, this is a special show because, yes, it's a new location. We have really fast internet here, but we also have a very special guest on tonight's show. Jim Walmsley has done some incredible things in just the last 365 days. But if we go back in time to just 365 days at Western States 2016, this is the man that was leading the race throughout the day, absolutely incredibly fast, below course record. We're going to talk to him all about last year's race as we lead into this Saturday's race, the 2017 Western States 100. Without further ado, let's introduce the man, the myth, the short crop top whole t-shirt rocking badass, Mr. Jim Walmsley.
Yay! Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you taking the time out of your Monday to join us.
Yeah, thanks. No problem.
Especially the week of the race.
That's what I was going to say, especially the Monday before the race.
Yeah, are you...
This year, I guess I'm taking a little more chill and just hanging out in Phoenix a little longer. Didn't go up to Tahoe as early and staying in the heat. I think for the most part, all of the West Coast is kind of heating up, but Phoenix is definitely... kind of the spot to be for the hottest weather lately, I think. So,
I mean, we are brand new to Seattle, and the local news, is only talking about Phoenix's heat.
Oh, really?
That's the news. You guys are peaking out like what, 120 degrees Fahrenheit?
Yeah, tomorrow's supposed to be 120. Today got up to 117, 118. But today was the first full-on gear test. So I was out at Camelback Mountain right before the show, literally from probably like 3 o'clock to, no, more like 4 o'clock to 5:30 and barely got here in time. Well, yeah, kind of a little late.
It's all good. I mean, we were, before the show, we were working on internet issues, and Jim and I are on the phone in a Google Hangout trying to communicate, but our audio, like, we couldn't hear each other. It was a gaggle of fun. It was great. Before we really get into the show, I want to remind everybody that, of course, we're joined by Kimberly Tashima Newberry as well.
Yep. And as usual, you guys, I am in the chat room. So if you guys have questions for Jim, just ask them in the chat room. It is moving quite quickly as expected tonight.
Yeah.
So if I'm not answering your question, just pop it in the chat room again.
We'll get to as many audience questions tonight as possible, because this is one of those unique opportunities where a lot of you will get to chat with Jim one-on-one. And of course, our post show for Patreon supporters will also include Jim. which will be really fun.
And there's a lot of questions in the chat room already about which room do we choose for the studio, how's it going in Seattle. I think maybe we can talk about that at the end of the post show.
End of the post show. We'll worry about that.
Yeah.
Tonight's all about
tight,
Jim.
guys. We will get to that, but later.
So I think that Jim, that kind of brings up the first question that I wanted to get to is how is this year already? So you're in race week. How is this race week different than last year's race week?
The buzz has been completely crazy to deal with this year compared to last year. Last year, I was probably one of a couple really big names or favorites. This year's kind of taken on a role of kind of being probably more the guy to beat as opposed to sharing that a little bit, which is good and bad. It just kind of comes with the territory, but having to juggle a lot more with interviews and photo shoots and stuff beforehand, which you got to balance that all through training. And like one of my hardest weeks so far was actually one of my first weeks of the whole training block, which was only a 90-mile week. It was supposed to be 100, and I think I dialed it back just a little bit, but I had like 2 photo shoots the same week, and it was just like a stress management thing of just kind of cut some miles off of it.
This is Raul in the chat room brings up a very good point, that this has been a year-long buzz. This has been a lot of build to this weekend. How are you handling, and honestly, it's not all in part to other people. You yourself have helped fuel this, which is awesome, and it's entertaining, and we love it. But how it has taken on a life of its own. How has that influenced your outlook on the race? Are you looking at it any different than you did last year? Or?
I mean, it's more personal. In the fact that I don't feel like I want to dilly-dally at all. I want to get more time, be just more professional throughout the race and not waste any time while I'm out there. But any race day comes down to execution. You can't really, like, whether you got pressure or not, you need to come down and take care of business. And you really got to get ready for a battle, because if you come in thinking that any ultra race is going to be easy, you're probably kind of just setting yourself up for failure. So anytime you toe the line, it's going to be a hard day no matter what.
And we talked, when we had you on the show last time, we talked a little bit about this, but last year for those who are unfamiliar with Jim's story from last year's race, there are plenty of sources online for you to find out more information. We're going to talk about some of those details. So spoilers. At mile 93, you took a wrong turn, ended up on Highway 49. Looking back, I know that there's a film that's dropping tomorrow from good friends of the show, Matt Trappy and Night Asylum and stuff like that. Can't wait to see it. Everyone watch it tomorrow. I believe that it talks a lot about how that turn at the time probably sucked. It ruined your day, I imagine, your race for you. But how have you learned from that? And how are you looking towards that as being a positive?
It kind of fueled the whole last year. And really, since that moment and kind of feeling like that day just disappeared so quick, it's really been a year-long wait to come back to this race. And it's just extremely focused. And that's probably what's going to make me toughest to beat this year, is just how bad I really want it out there and stuff. And I've mentally just prepared so many days for this. So I think it makes me better for it.
I want to make sure that we get to some live chat room questions. If you guys have been dying to ask Jim Walmsley a question of your own, make sure you jump into the chat room here on the YouTube channel and ask away. Kim, what do we got?
I would say the most popular question in the chat room right now is, Jim, who do you see as your biggest competitor this year?
A lot of names, as always.
There's a lot of people.
I think there's a lot of guys that can have good races. I don't think anyone particularly stands out. I think there's a lot of guys that are going to be running really patient races and kind of hoping that I misstep or make a mistake. So I'm just looking at it kind of, I got to take care of my own race plan. And I think if I have a solid day, I'm at a fitness level right now that I don't think anyone else is going to play a factor if I run at the front and kind of just go handle my day how I should. So if things start to come back, then there's probably at least 5 guys that could even pack up to kind of just chase all day. I wouldn't be surprised if there was basically just a chase pack that formed.
I mean, that was what was super unique about last year. You took off, I mean, it was almost mile 5 or 10 is when you really just started to make a huge move. And it wasn't so much a move on, I'm making a break. It was just, I'm going to go at the pace I'm going to go. I mean, that's what at least it felt like from a spectator and filming.
Yeah.
Just watching you blaze through 8 stations with no intention other than winning, and at the time breaking the course record. So are you taking that same mindset where whatever happens behind you, you could care less about? It's all about what's in front of you?
Yeah, like this year, I mean, it was kind of frustrating almost how slow we went up escarpment last year. And that's kind of where I lost the patient game and basically just shot down the other side to Lions Ridge. So just got impatient last year, and I think that's completely boiling over this year with how close I was to a course record last year makes me hungry for that. So looking at time-wise and stuff, it's like I got an easy 5 to 10 minutes on that first 10-mile split. If I just run easy and run within myself, then it's like when you start talking time and course records and stuff, yeah, I want that 5 to 10 minutes. So it's going to be a race from mile 1 for sure.
I get so freaking excited because this. I mean, we could witness history on Saturday.
Right.
We could witness something incredible. We could witness a great blow up. Let's be honest, Jim. I mean, obviously anything can happen on race day, but I mean, knowing what you put together last year, had that turn just turned out a little bit different, who knows? It could have been bonkers. Now you've essentially dropped the mic on this. You have an intention of breaking the course record. Is that right, or beyond?
Yeah. So I mean, there's been things about thrown out with sub 14. That I think is totally possible, but I think it takes a really special day. I think it kind of sets you up for failure if you want to start hitting that. I have splits for it. I've already made splits for sub 14, and I'm going to try to flirt between sub 14 and course record most of the day. And then hopefully that puts me in a position, if I'm having a really special day, to maybe go break 14. But course record, I think any slower than a course record would be, I'd be disappointed for sure.
Yeah. Let's go back to the live chat room. Kim, what do we got? Bunch of questions.
Yeah, just first a comment from Cameron Harmon in the chat room said, wanted to give a quick shout out to Jim. He was volunteering at the Flagstaff Big Pine. Thanks for being out there, Jim. Volunteering 2 weeks out from Western States. So that's pretty cool. That's a good experience for.
Yeah, I was out there with Chris Thornley and Squirrels Nut Butter, like kind of at the opposite side. So a lot of runners ran through and had no idea and stuff, and it was kind of funny. But a couple were noticed and caught aback a little bit, so that was pretty cool.
I also have to commend you. I mean, you were at Lake Sonoma. You've appeared at a number of races, not to race, but to actually support, whether spectating or to volunteer. Is that important to you? I mean, it's obviously
it's a total kind of full circle sport. I think it takes. I'm a fan of ultra running too. I like going watching the races. Lake Sonoma, I got to help Jared Hazen a little bit. Which had its own little snafu, but also I was out there just to enjoy it and to watch it. I guess a third reason too was in case anything happened at Gorge, that was a backup plan too.
Oh,
but, yeah, luckily I didn't have to do that. And then, but volunteering, going, watching the sport, following the sport, I'm always on top of that, like This Week in Running, or even like letsrun.com. I follow track a lot still too, especially with all the track athletes coming through Flagstaff. So it's fun to just follow the sport, be able to talk to everybody about recent results, what's going on. Following people even at Bighorn and that big mud fest and stuff. So it's all awesome.
You mentioned Jared, and I think we actually have the Coconino Cowboys in the chat room and stuff like that. How big is community for you? I mean, we could talk about the Coconino Cowboys.
No, it's Coconino.
The
Swedes say it that way.
I just really I like saying it. Coconino. Okay.
No.
I won't say it anymore like that. How important is this group and this community to you? Are they
it's awesome.
Crew and support and pace?
Yeah, so I got a couple guys. Tim Frericks is going to be the first one to pick me up at Forest Hill.
Who just came off of Broken Arrow.
Yeah, came off of Broken Arrow. He raced Broken Arrow on a little short rest after Transvolcania. It wasn't like really a training block. It was just kind of a fun race that he wanted to go out to Tahoe a little early. So, yeah, for him, that was still a real good result. And he actually, I think, even took his licensing test out in Vegas on the way out there for nursing. So he even knocked that out. But then, yeah, I got Jared Hazen that's going to be out there. He's just moved to Flagstaff maybe a month ago now. Time is going by. Got lots of Flagstaff people. Tommy Rivers or Tommy Puzzi goes by Rivers. He'll be pacing me for about 15 miles from the river up. And then James Bonet is going to be pacing me on in from there. And he'll be kind of running the crew stuff all day. But he wants to get in a couple miles and needs probably would like it when I'm probably going the slowest this year. So that'll be good and fun to have him pacing me out there. But yeah, it's total kind of, yeah, we're building friendships. We're kind of a little bit of a brotherhood, and we're all rooting for each other. We're pushing each other in training. We're going to the canyon to run. We're trying to figure out new trails to run on. We do point-to-point runs together. We go slog it in the snow. So it's definitely awesome. And then, yeah, at the end of the day, we kick back and have some beers together. So, yeah, it just makes it a really awesome sport. There's more people to cheer for, and yeah, it makes it just fun.
Do you have a plan in regards to dropping pacers? It's happened in the past.
I'm trying to drop everybody. No, I mean, at Western States, I think it's a pacer's a luxury, and as the front runners, kind of last year was a freak incident with or without a pacer. It's not something you expect to happen. It's not something that you plan for. It's just something that freakishly happens. So I don't think that's like really pacer related. It's more to me a way to share the trails with a friend and share your experience in your day with a friend. So that's pretty cool.
Lots of questions in the chat room. Bring it on, Kim.
Yeah, a question from Brian Lindbergh in the chat room. Jim, what are your tricks to keep yourself going mentally and physically late in a race, especially to hold a 14 flat pace?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's thinking about like put your money where your mouth is, like, or don't be that catastrophic blow up. Nobody wants that story. But I mean, you put in so much time and effort day to day and so much buildup, and it's not just the training block right before Western States. It's multiple training blocks that have led me to be able to do a big block of training before Western States. So there's just so much time and effort and determination put into that you have a lot to draw on. I got so many friends and family kind of cheering for me. You think about the people that believe in you, and when you're in a really dark place, it's probably just means you need to eat a little more sugar. So just eat, fuel up, and hopefully you bounce back a little bit.
Are you doing, I feel like this question is going to come up, but are you going to be doing multiple bottles, any sort of hydration pack, belt, anything like that that's different from last year? Is it the same system because it worked?
I'll be wearing the Vapor Car belt instead of the little pack. That's a new Nathan belt. But other than that, I'll be going with the same bottles again. Maybe a soft flask as a spare. I'll be doing a little more liquid calories rather than gels, but I'll still have gels in there. I think last year I had somewhere between 30 and 35 gels. So this year is going to be a little more on the liquid calories instead.
So let's talk a little bit about just kind of the build up to this year's race. So last year's race, you didn't place in the top 10, so you didn't get an automatic invite back.
Yeah.
You still finished the race, which is completely admirable. Having to hike back up onto trail, retrace your steps only to finish the race. I remember passing you in that one section, and you were obviously as disappointed as you were still like, "What's up, man? How's it going?" Like you were still hanging out with people and stuff like that. So that was pretty awesome. So your plan after that race, was it immediate to try to get a golden ticket? Was it worry about the lottery? What was kind of your plan going into this year?
Well, immediately was I screwed it up. I got to come back and try to do it again. And like, crap, I hope I can have another perfect day sort of thing. But it eventually turned into, I want to do it by getting a golden ticket again. It's kind of just, as an elite guy, I think that's a great way to race in, and kind of put your money where your mouth is. If you want to show up fit and ready, golden ticket's kind of a badass way to get in. So I didn't even put my name in the lottery. Some people wanted me to apply for like special consideration and stuff. So I didn't do any of that. And then I even skipped the golden ticket race that I was going to do Black Canyon 100K. And I skipped that to do Tarawera in February instead. So it kind of pushed it to a late golden ticket race of like, you kind of got one shot now. So, Gorge ended up being a great day, a good run. Really enjoyed my time at Tarawera, so it kind of turned into just no regrets, and had 2 really awesome 100Ks this year. So, I think last year really though, I learned so much about myself in Western States last year and how hard I can push myself, that I think I've had my best races since Western States last year. So I think it made me a better, stronger runner for sure.
I mean, just having followed you for the last 5 years or so, it's amazing to see how this year has just dominated years previous. And even last year, it's like, oh, this is Jim's hugest year. But then you just continue to outdo yourself as time goes on. And I know Gorge is no slouch. Gorge is not an easy race. Did you feel the pressure to get that golden ticket at that event? It's a difficult event, a lot of gain and stuff like that. Or while you were out there, was it, okay, I feel like I got this, you can kind of throttle back a little bit?
It kind of sucks because I didn't feel as excited to run Gorge. It felt more like a race I had to do. Luckily, that course is really gorgeous and super pretty, but it was 100K. It did drag on a bit more. So I don't know. It kind of felt like the last 20 miles, it was something I just had to get through. And I don't know. Wish it was more of a 50K or 50 mile at that point, but that's not really the business I'm finding myself in. So suck it up and run 100K.
Well, it was a pretty damn fine performance, and
Thank you.
it was almost one of those like, all the money's on Jim. There's kind of no doubt about that. So building up to states this year, one thing I noticed, and correct me if I'm wrong, did you get your trail work done? Because there was a list of people who had got trail work. You did? Okay, great.
Yeah. So I do volunteer stuff all the time, and it's just, I'm a big procrastinator. So it's like, I just had to go back and be like, hey, can you sign off on this? And it was actually really easy because I didn't do trail work specifically. There's a couple things that you can do, but I did a big volunteer weekend at James Bonnet's running camp. So it was super easy, and like marking courses for their camp. So anything from high school runners up to adults and stuff. So that was a pretty easy thing to get signed off. And there's a number of other races and stuff that I could have, but that was most convenient. And luckily, Twitter was very on top of it to remind me that I had to get it done. So I did turn it in on like the last day.
I mean, leave it to social media to keep you accountable, I guess is a good way of putting it. You're not alone in that respect. A lot of chat room chatter about getting Jim's opinion on doping, PEDs, and this year's Western States new policy.
The chat room is very spicy tonight, and you guys, they're mad at me.
Yeah, Kim, how dare you? You're not listening to me.
So you guys, I do have an entire list of questions pulled. Yeah,
as do I. So
if this is your first time here, this is kind of how it works.
This is how it works. It gets a little crazy.
So there was a question earlier from John Pett. It just said, Jim, how do you feel about drug testing taking place post-competition for Western States?
First time in really any major trail ultra other than Euro races and stuff.
Yeah, well, actually, the only time I've been tested was a race out in China. Never been tested in the States, and that was I didn't know they were testing. But I think it's awesome. I think it's way overdue. The fact that they don't test in our sport, that they don't, they're not a sport that falls under the umbrella of USADA and WADA is really disappointing, I think, behind the times. And to try to get in with those two organizations would be a really big step forward, and get out of competition testing, I think, needs to happen. I mean, I expect to get tested. I hope I get tested. I want to participate in that. I'm not going to self-impose stuff, but at the same time, like, I am all open here, like, totally want to help, totally want to participate to things with that and support that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's just way behind the times in ultra running, and part of it's because we don't fall under USATF, which is a good thing, but also it doesn't come with the USADA WADA stuff. So that's a little bit of, as a sport, we're kind of lacking a governing body to be able to do the testing. So that's kind of where I see the deficit. But yeah, we need to get some sort of out of competition and in competition testing for age group elites, and if people want prize money, they need to be openly tested as well. If you want to compete for fun, like, it's, yeah, I don't know. But when you talk about just generally competing and wanting to go out and run a trail, probably if you want to sign up for a race, you need to be clean. If you want to just do whatever, then, well, go and enjoy the trails by yourself, because if you want to do it with other people, you need an even playing field that way. So yeah, kudos to Western States for stepping up and being the first big U.S. ultra race to kind of really take initiative on that. And it sounds like they're going to test quite a few people this year.
Yeah, major props to Craig, the board, for making this huge step. I can't imagine it was a cheap decision. I know it's a very expensive choice for a race to do this, but certainly one long, like Jim said, long overdue in the sport. I hope it sets a precedent in the sense that it's just not accepted. I mean, I don't know if there's not a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like,
one thing though, if Western States doesn't step up and do it, why should any other race do it? Like, they need to set the bar that way. So yeah, it's great. UTMB's been doing it for a while, so there's no reason Western States shouldn't find a way or find a sponsor to pay for a way to do it.
Your training, which is visible on Strava, and for those who would like to feel terrible about themselves, go follow Jim on Strava. It's a great way to feel lazy, even though you may have had the biggest, best week of your life. I promise you it's nothing compared to a week in Jim's life. It's obvious that you're putting in the time, you're putting in the effort, you're putting in the heat days, the long days, the vert. Was there anything that you really wanted to dial in this year and compared to your training last year that would give you an added benefit?
Well, I think the best thing that I have going for me, especially, like, it's kind of cool and good and bad. You get into kind of pissing contests with other people a little bit, but the best thing I have going for me is the consistency with the big blocks I've put together. Not only do I have like 3 weeks back to back to back over 140 miles, but I've done those blocks a couple times this year. But what I kind of really emphasized this year was my vert before Western States. I think that was a little underestimated before last year. And then it's also with keeping in mind of doing a big vert block for UTMB next. So muscularly getting my body ready, putting on a little bit more muscle on my quads and stuff to handle a bigger vertical week for UTMB. But I don't think that hurts at all for Western States. It gets a downhill, fast, runnable reputation, but it's rugged the first 55 or so miles. You really got to be able to handle bombing downhill and climbing back up. And then once you hit Forest Hill, it becomes like you still got to have a good stride on you after that. You can't have jello legs and fall apart. So yeah, the vert that I've been doing has probably been what's been emphasized much more than last year.
Sweet. Let's get to some questions from the live chat room.
Yeah, there's a few questions, training-centric questions. There's a lot of people talking about a 0 mileage week.
I was curious about this too, yeah. Did you take a 0 mileage week? Was it injury related or pleasure?
No, it's on private.
That's awesome. So no one actually knows what occurred that week.
Yeah, I'll unprivate it afterwards, but it could have been a big week, could have been a rest week, could have been a big vert week or speed workouts. I don't know. You'll find out afterwards.
Or just like a beach cruiser week.
That's it. Just hopped on the beach cruiser and did like 20 miles for the week and just ate a lot of pizza. I mean, everyone's been talking about your diet too. There's funny videos. I know that Jamil and the Run Steep crew did some funny stuff. This is all true, right? Like you full on eat whatever you crave.
Yeah, like I mean, I don't know. I didn't come up eating vegetables out of a garden. I came up in suburbs of Phoenix where vegetables can't grow, and fast food in the 90s. So, and I haven't had an issue. And right now, I almost think it makes my stomach more resilient in races. And when I talk about how many calories I pound in races, I think it's almost like my strength because I eat that way. Or that's how I look at it. I don't know. Maybe I would do better as some, I mean, technically I don't eat meat, so I'm vegetarian, but besides that, like, yeah, I have pizza almost every day. I've been staying away a little bit from the donuts and the ice cream lately. But soda is all game, beer is all game.
We've been eating all the donuts in your stead, so yeah, don't worry.
Yeah, if I'm not eating them, someone's got to. I mean, I like it. I still have salads. I don't know. My go-to breakfast is granola with blueberries and almond milk. It's not terrible, but it's not perfect. And when I'm really hungry, like, I mean, I'll go to the gas station and go pick out Twix bars, Snicker bars. Those like little Starburst minis are absolute crack. They're crazy good. Yeah, I tend to go through a couple bags on road. So driving out to races is really hard because I have to eat when I'm driving to stay awake.
Yeah.
And just the gas station candy is like my comfort food. That and like a Mountain Dew or something. And it's just on the way out to races or to Western states. I got to avoid that. So maybe pretzels, and I'll probably still have Red Bulls, but whatever.
It's admirable.
I'm like, yeah, all that sounds good.
It
That's
does
like our
sound
road
good.
trip food.
Oh yeah, we should just get in the car
Yeah,
and
just go sit in the car and eat candy.
as long as we feel good about ourselves during that process.
Oh, you feel a little guilty about it, but you just have to have short-term memory and just start the next day like nothing ever happened.
Are you? Do you look at your, so for me, you know, 6 to 10 mile run on a weekday to me is like, okay, that's a pretty good weekday run. But for you, that's, you know, maybe it's a 20 miler mixed with a 6 to 10 mile run, that sort of thing. So when you're doing these back-to-back days, does it take its toll on you at all? Like, are there days where you go, oof, man, like I don't feel strong.
I try to like take a week off of caffeine a couple times in this training block. I'm like, man, if I could take off a week of caffeine, and then I'll just feel so amped up when I take caffeine next. I make it like a day before I try to, like, I think beer too. I'm like, oh, I need to work on my abs a little bit or something. And I try to give up beer for a couple days, and I make it like literally one day, and it's just an epic failure of like, I'm so tired. It's so hard to get out the door. So when I'm doing these big mileage weeks, when I'm down in mileage, everything balances out and I feel more active and stuff and more inclined to go do stuff. But it's just a natural thing when you're doing the high mileage is like, well, you should kind of feel like crap. But so I'm kind of embracing I'm going to keep pounding caffeine on big weeks because it gets me out the door. It gets me, but then, yeah, so I don't go right out in the morning. It's kind of have my breakfast. I give it an hour or two. I have some caffeine and then kind of get ready and get excited. And even more so, I've had to start driving the trailheads, which I don't do as much, but it makes me more committed once I'm at the trailhead to like, well, I drove here, I'm not going to drive back. So, yeah, so I just kind of embrace it, and I totally have low moments, and I try to power through it with coffee and Red Bulls and whatever.
Let's get a question from the chat room.
Yeah, question from Kyle Larson in the chat room. What is your favorite part of the training process?
Probably just getting to do fun trails. I mean, just even doing the corridor trails in the Grand Canyon, I love it. It's awesome. I love weaving through people too. I actually sometimes don't like running with the Coconino Cowboys as much because we have like 3 people or 4 people, and all of a sudden you get like boom, 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 and you just feel like a jerk a little bit. It's not as bad if you're the one in the front, but if you're like second, third, and fourth, like you get everybody kind of aggravated by then, and it's like, sorry, and you're just apologizing. But luckily in the winter and when it's really hot, you don't get quite as many people. So doing that, just getting out on the trails is really the biggest difference. It makes it more enjoyable. You get alone time. It's thinking, it's organizing, it's quiet. I mean, getting out on the trails makes it most enjoyable. I don't know if I would be as good at doing this many miles on the roads.
I know that we talked a bit about this on the last time you were on air, and I know that our viewers are always really curious about this. But regarding coaching and setting your own schedule and that sort of thing, we've had guests on the show who have a very structured workout schedule. They have a coach, and they're very obedient and that sort of thing. Do you have a coach? Do you follow that same sort of strategy, or do you do your own thing? So you wake up in the morning and go, I feel like today's a good long run, or you schedule out in advance? What's your process?
I'm not very structured, I guess. I don't have a coach. I set arbitrary weekly mileage goals, and more or less I start out by dividing that by 7 and just be like, look, I need to average, and every day is a plus minus game with mileage. I think mileage is probably the most important thing that any endurance athlete needs to emphasize. Then it probably goes to vert and time on the feet, with those 2 other categories playing a factor. And then depending on the race, you might want some speed work. And also depending how natural your kind of leg turnover comes and goes. If it goes away pretty quickly, you probably need to focus on it a little more. If you tend to have a good turnover, then you're one of the lucky ones, and that's a good thing. But it starts usually with a weekly mileage goal, and I'm terrible at someone says like, hey, you want to run 10 miles tomorrow at 9 a.m. I'm like, that sounds way too committed to me. I can't do that. I'll text you maybe like 5 minutes before I head out the door. But other than that, I'm not really feeling that. And I think I need to go run up a mountain. So I'll probably just run by myself. I like organizing 1 or 2 runs a week with a group, but for the most part, I like the lax schedule to just head out the door or just randomly go drive somewhere and go run. That works for me, and I find it enjoyable and least stressful. Kind of all of it is stress management, because running is just one of your stresses in life. So for everybody, running is just one stress. Your job can be another one, kids could be another one, all sorts of things. So stress management, and that's a way I deal with keeping stress levels a little lower. I don't structure it quite as much.
Nice. That's actually going to be refreshing, I think, for a lot of people to hear. As far as your schedule this year, a lot of people might know this, some people might not. States is just the beginning, because you also are going to UTMB, and I can imagine there's other events and stuff on your calendar that you're going to crush this year. Are you doing anything between States and UTMB, or is it all States dependent? Is it depending on what happens on Saturday?
No. So the plan is definitely Western States and then get ready for UTMB. But with that said, it's going to be almost all of July out in Silverton, partying, pacing at Hard Rock, enjoying the Hard Rock crowd. Again, it goes to I'll be out there for the 3rd year in a row, volunteering and pacing. So it's pretty cool to say, like, I've never even ran a qualifier for Hard Rock, and this will be the 3rd year that I'll be volunteering at it. So I'll be out there. We camp at the same spot every year at 10,000 feet or so. We bring a lot of beer. we train a lot, and it starts with kind of just getting out in the mountains and going with a hike. And it's actually really fun to go out with friends because it's in a stage of coming back from how it happened last year was it was a stage where a lot of friends I don't usually go run with or something, or we'll start together, but then I never see them again. So when I'm a cripple after the 100 states or Western States 100, I just start hiking, and we'll do hikes together, and we'll start going through. And for a week or two, it kind of is a level playing field, and then I start feeling a little better and start pushing things a little more, and hopefully get back into the groove of it by mid to late July.
I mean, it's actually a pretty good gap. It's a pretty good gap of time to get a good recovery in, and it's not like you're putting in 40 or 60 mile weeks and then doing 100 and having to recover a long time from it. You're putting in 200-mile weeks, and give or take. And I feel like your body, of any human on the planet, should be able to recover in time for.
I think part of the training block beforehand to hopefully have a little more a body that's going to rebound a little better, but who knows? I have no idea. 100 miles last year. I swear that 4 hours of walking in destroyed me so much worse than the other 93 miles. I quit drinking, I quit eating, and
right.
I'm pretty sure that just put me in the hole to walk it in. Who knows? I got to take it day by day and see how things go. And we'll see. The plan's to go into UTMB with the same mentality and try to throw down there. And then I haven't planned out the rest of the year. Kind of a couple options right now, but.
Awesome. Let's get a couple more questions before we move into the post show here.
Sure. Question from John. Any desire for Comrades?
Yeah, definitely. I see Comrades being closer to 2020. So probably maybe 2018, like I guess that's next year. Holy crap. But 2019, 2020, most likely. Next year's maybe. It might depend how Western States and UTMB turn out this year. UTMB and Western States will probably take the priority next year if I have to choose between one of those and Comrades. But 2019, 2020, Comrades will probably take the priority, and probably even like road ultras, really, from the 50-mile American record to 100K World Championships, 100K World and American record, and then Comrades. And then 2020, I want to try to run my first marathon at the trials, but I want to qualify on a half marathon. So I got to wait till, I think, September 2018 to qualify on a half marathon.
Right. Yeah, I think it's
it's down to 64 flat, but I think it's all right. So we'll see.
I think you'd be able to do it. I think of all the people we know, I think Jim Walmsley would be able to do that. Let's get Walmsley a gold medal. Let's do that. If you get a gold medal at all in your life, you can just thank GingerRun Alive. That's basically.
That'd be great. That'll be the first
donuts.
person, I think. Yeah.
and mini Starburst.
And mini Starburst, of course, and truck stops.
Yeah.
Let's get a couple more of these.
Yeah, this question is from Sean Donovan. He's asked it many, many times in the chat room, so I want to make sure I ask it. Sean asked, Jim, is Pikes Peak ascent or marathon on your radar at all?
It must mean a lot to this guy because he won't stop talking about it.
Not quite right now. Probably Leadville's above Pikes Peak. Matt Carpenter has both records, I think. So, so I'm being up in Flagstaff now. The high altitude Matt Carpenter stuff kind of becomes interesting because he really set the bar for some of those high altitude Colorado races. Pikes Peak is kind of interesting. It's right by my alma mater, so maybe not. Maybe need a little more time before I go back and run something at Pikes Peak.
Go for it, babe. Another one.
There's a question from Jenna Lee in the chat room. Is Berkeley on your radar?
I don't know. Maybe.
That's a good answer.
I got to figure out how to get into the race, I guess. Nobody knows how to do that. So the only thing cool about Barclays is everybody, like so many people have heard about it. So that makes it interesting to me. I hate hiking. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, 5-year plan, it's good possibility.
The fact that he hasn't said no is a clear indication that if the opportunity presented itself, or if he figured out how, maybe.
Yeah, if someone wants to help me get in, then it might turn into a yes. But right now, I don't even know how to get in, so we'll see.
It's definitely one of those events where I think after we talked about it this year, everyone's like, you got to ask Jim if he's going to do it. It's like, well, let's let Jim decide if he wants to do it, because it's definitely one of those races that's very unique.
It would make really interesting, just because I bring in a really odd factor of like, well, can you actually run any of it? And
yeah,
I mean, if you can run any of it, I'm gonna sure as hell try to run that part. So we'll see. But I don't know. I'd go in with like soccer shin guards and like just battling the briar patches there. Like, people come out just so cut up from that. But I don't know. Type 2 fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's type 2 fun, and I will say that everyone that we've talked to who has either finished it or gone to the 5th loop, you end up actually having to run most of it. So there's a pretty high factor of power hiking the extremely steep stuff, and then you have to run anytime that you can. You have to physically run. It's the only way to actually make the time. So who knows? Maybe this could be right up Jim's alley. Who knows? Never say never.
Yeah.
The one thing I wanted to make sure that we asked before we move into the post show is I wanted to get Walmsley's take on the women's race this year, because we didn't have any of the women's competitors on this year before the race, since we've been dark for the last 2 weeks. But I think we'll have to get them on the Monday after the race, next Monday. But the women's race is going to be bonkers this year, as is the men's race. But Jim, do you have any predictions of who you think could possibly take the crown?
I mean, everybody's putting money on Casey because, look, there's so many tough women at states. It's really like the epic battle this year, and kind of the big story, especially if it ends up being, because every time I check the weather keeps getting hotter. So that could bring times down a little bit. So then it becomes like that one's a true battle. You got 3 past champions. You got Camille Herron coming off of Comrades, which is its own crazy story, and she completely crushed that. And then you got tons of other women coming back from the top 10. So yeah, it's going to be crazy. I think probably a battle of the past champions there. It seems like Western states, people that have ran well at Western states once tend to be able to repeat it. So it'll be interesting with 3 past champions. I don't think we've ever seen something like that on the guys' side. So that'll be just epic. Not calling anything, but I don't know how Casey and Camille train out in the Middle West and the flats. Like, that's just insane to me. But kudos to them for that.
It's something that I've been thinking about for the last couple of weeks of like, well, what's going to be my top 10 list? With the men, I don't have a clue. I think that could play out anyway. Every year you roll that dice with the men's game, because there's always, I mean, obviously Jim in present company excluded in the sense of, and one guy's going to go out and then blow up at mile 60, that's usually always what ends up happening in the men's game. And so the guys who were patient, the Jeff Brownings, the guys who are just so seasoned and patient, they end up pulling a 2nd or 3rd place, or a top 10. It just relies on patience. But the women's race this year, you've got Magda, you've got Casey, you've got Stephanie Howe, then you've got Io Wang, you've got Camille. The list goes on. So I mean, that alone is the top 5 or 6 women. Yeah, any one of which could have the day of their lives.
There's still a couple others that are going to slip into the podium for sure.
Absolutely.
Because Western states, like you said, there's a difference between racing for top 10 or racing for the podium than actually going for the win. Typically, if you're racing for top 10, you kind of take yourself out of contention for the win almost every time. And that's where you kind of got to swing for it if you want to win it. If you don't start swinging for the fences, you're probably going to, you get into just this patient game, and how patient can you be? And to me, that's kind of like, well, if you let someone run away, and like if they run away, they run away, but if they don't, I win. Sort of game, and that just like makes me cringe so hard thinking about letting someone run away in that aspect of like, what do you mean? What if they have a perfect race? And it's like, you got to go have your perfect race too and stuff. And there's a different strategies of racing well at Western States and then racing for a win, in my opinion.
I'd say in this day and age, completely agree. Who knows what it was 10 years ago in the sense of there was probably a bit of that rivalry between the top 5 men and women that was, okay, these are going to be the guys and the girls that one of these 5 will win. And it's a matter of kind of gambling. And then there's a point when one of them makes that move and has the race of their life. I think in the last few years, it's been much more like what you said, Jim, especially last year. You clearly showed that it has changed in the sense of you got to go from mile 1 if you want to have any chance of keeping up with this guy. Who knows what's going to happen in the years to come. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, because I think eventually to close a gap on someone that's having that sort of day, it becomes like you can't do it eventually. So if you let them get too far, you just gave them too much leash, and you'll never bring them back in.
Totally. I also have to say, someone just mentioned it in the chat, and I totally agree, Jim. You have a beautiful stride.
Thanks.
Yeah, watching you run out there last year was like.
Is there? Oh, yeah. Well, okay. Speaking of shirts, as we kind of wrap up this main show, I want to remind everyone who's watching live that we do a post show. So we do have a one-on-one with our guest tonight, where we will get to ask rapid fire questions. And that is on patreon.com/thegingerrunner. Basically, it's a monthly support system where as little as $1 a month, you get to enjoy all of our guests every Monday in a more refined format. So there's not 1,000 people watching live and the chat room's chaos. It's a more one-on-one intimate setting where you get to ask those questions and get them answered by our guests. So tonight we have Jim Walmsley. This is a really special night because he's going to be racing Western States on Saturday. So this is a great opportunity. If you have not already joined Patreon, consider it. So go to patreon.com/thegingerrunner, and it basically keeps the show happening every month. It keeps the studio getting built now that we're able to kind of expand the set and create Kim's new set, stuff like that. But before we get to that post show, which is already now on Patreon, we already have people there waiting for the post show to start. So consider joining that. But before we even get to that, Jim, you have T-shirts, like a movie coming out tomorrow, probably like 10 more documentaries to come out beyond this Saturday. You probably have 6 or 7 film crews following you.
So we
talk about it.
We got Matt Trappy, Mike Hermsmeyer, Garrett Carhart. Oh man, I probably butchered his last name. I don't know. He's this crazy longboarder guy. But they're working with 9 Mine Asylum on 2-part film. The first one's coming out tomorrow. It'll be available on outsideonline.com. If you go to the videos there, you'll be able to see it sometime tomorrow. Not sure when it's going live, but that should be awesome. It'll kind of go into a little more depth of kind of what sparked me and got me back into running after taking off some time in collegiate running and going into the Air Force and kind of 180 turn in life. And then Rob Goyen at Trail Racing Over Texas is partnering with a bunch of us in Flagstaff to kind of do a Coconino collection on T-shirts. So we got these Coconino Cowboy shirts going on. Pretty cool.
Coconino.
Yeah, I don't even know how he says it. He butchers it.
He butchers it.
Yeah, Eli's a great guy, though. It's kind of fun. I got to hang out with him at the training weekend and stuff, and he means it all in good fun. But those are found at nofineprint.cc/Coconino. And then we have an event on Thursday. If you're in Tahoe coming out to Western States, you can go to Alpenglow from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Rob will be set up there with T-shirts to sell. We got the Coconino shirts. We got the silhouette with the stride. And then we got Stop Jim shirts for Western States, which all goes to the Chris Mako thing of like, dude, we're releasing that like tomorrow. So I had to like message him on like social media. I didn't have his number or anything. I'm like, dude, like, this is like, we can't have you selling these. And like, I don't know. And he's like, oh, he felt a little bad about it, which he didn't mean to do that. And just hilarious that he was gonna do that too and stuff. But yeah, sorry to spoil the show, but Rob's shirts are probably a little they're like a tri-blend thing. They're really nice, so they might be a little more better quality. So it'll all work out.
I think that's really exciting. I love the whole concept of the Stop Jim shirts. I love the Coconino Cowboy shirts. So remind everyone, it's Alpenglow Sports, and it starts at what time on Thursday?
4 p.m. on Thursday. Yeah, it's like I'm basically getting into town and going to that. So I'll be there. I'm carpooling with Jared Hazen and Rivers Puzzi, so they'll be out there as well. And yeah, we'll probably be drinking beer shortly after that. So
it's one of the best things to do in Squaw, for sure, for sure. So if you are in Squaw for States, if you're going to start or watch the start, or you're crewing or pacing a runner or something like that, go to Alpenglow on Thursday. Support Jim, the shirts, the crew. Get pictures with this guy. Use some hashtags, Coconino Cowboys. Spread the love. And of course, Jim, where can people find you on social media?
Walmsley 172 for Instagram, Twitter. I'm having problems converting my Facebook page into an athlete page right now, so Facebook's a mess. What else? And then Strava is still Walmsley 172, I think, or maybe it's just under Jim Walmsley. I have no idea how to. I don't know.
I think they can
under
find
Jim
it.
Walmsley.
Yeah, I think they can search Jim Walmsley.
So yeah, give me a follow or whatever. Comment something. I don't care.
There's a great comment to wrap it up. Will Rivers' abs be on display? The Puzzi brothers have.
Oh yeah, they are
like,
just. I say
ripped.
they're chiseled of marble. Yeah, he's crazy ripped. Yeah, I'll probably make him run shirtless or something. Maybe not next to me while he's pacing me. Then it's like, Jim looks so flabby. Like, he's in pretty good shape. He's just, he's got massive abs.
So thank you everyone for watching live tonight, Monday. Thanks for your patience at the start of the show. I'm glad we got it started, and we got Jim Walmsley on tonight. Huge weekend. It's Statesmas. All of you who are participating in Western States or going to be there or volunteering or any of the board or any of that, thank you, and have fun. Have a great time down there. We wish we could be there. Unfortunately, last minute had to decide not to. That's purely because we moved.
We just got here.
And I don't think we could find another pair of I have this $175 t-shirt. Thank you, Rock and Roll Half Marathon. Ridiculous. So dumb. Never do a Rock and Roll Series event.
We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about it in the post show. But if you guys are Patreon supporters, we'll see you over on Patreon. If you're not, consider it. Otherwise, we'll see you next Monday for a post Western States special. Yes. Hopefully we'll have Jim maybe back on. Maybe the female winner as well, or one or the other. We'll figure it out, because a lot's going to go down in just a couple of days. Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll see you in the post show if you are a Patreon supporter.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Ginger Runner.